Turning the page on the pension crisis in Jacksonville, two changes recently that could impact the financial health of the city. One came through the election and voters saying yes to the mayor's half-cent sales tax plan. The other will come at the bargaining table. A new leader for the Police and Fire Pension Fund joins us. And remember when?
One city, one Jacksonville. Go Navy, go Notre Dame. And let's go have a good football game.
It's getting much closer. The architect of bringing those cadets and the Irish together in Northeast Florida joins us. Rick Catlett has even more in mind for big sporting events in Jacksonville. That and more of our elections coverage on This Week in Jacksonville. And thanks for joining us this morning. You know, last month, the city of Jacksonville's Police and Fire Pension Fund Board appointed a new executive director and plan administrator. That is Timothy Johnson. And Tim Johnson joins us. New to the role, new to Florida, not new to this topic. Tell us a little bit about your background and welcome to Northeast Florida.
I appreciate it, Kent. I am new to Florida. I come here from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh specifically, where I ran a pension fund for 3 years and was a trustee for 9 before coming to Florida.
Yeah, you mentioned to me before we started our interview, I've been following what was happening here in Jacksonville for a little while. Why is that of interest throughout the country, I guess?
Well, for a couple of reasons. One, Jacksonville's a large plan. When you cross that $1 billion in asset threshold, administrators like me pay attention to plans like that. And secondly, there had been some controversy. There had been some issues that needed to be addressed, and I was curious about how those issues were being tackled.
What is the biggest issue? We've been hearing a campaign last year from the mayor's office. We got to tackle this pension issue. What's the biggest problem spot that you want to tackle as you just started here in this last month?
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, there's 5 things I'd like to do, starting with solvency. Now, a lot's been done to make sure there's enough money to pay benefits. This referendum, one that just occurred on August 30th. Takes
something you were in favor of?
I was in favor of.
Something you think can help make a difference there?
Absolutely. Not only am I in favor of that referendum because it creates a dedicated source for paying pension benefits, but it opens up a dialogue for other reforms that over time will help this plan significantly to become actuarially sound. In other words, it has enough money to pay the benefits that have been promised. So solvency, transparency is a big issue. You know, not only do you need to have records available when people request them, but you need to be responsive. So we're working hard to be responsive to public record requests. Also, member services. We want to establish relationships with members from the day they start the job through retirement and beyond. Right now, many members begin to get engaged with the office when they retire, but there's so much more that we can do to educate them on that benefit before they retired. So
it wasn't personally urgent for them until they got, oh, now I need to retire.
Well, for a lot of people it isn't. But you know, as benefit levels change, there's other ways that you can educate your members on how to create a secure retirement. That doesn't necessarily mean that that bill's being footed by taxpayers. Education will go a long way.
Tim, educate me on this. The pension referendum that just passed here on August 30th, one of the conditions of that was, hey, so we're going to close some of the funds or plans. There's got to be renegotiation with the unions here. Where does that stand, and is that too big an obstacle to overcome? Because that was certainly what some of the people who weren't in supporting that referendum thought.
I'm optimistic. I don't think it's too big of an obstacle to overcome. If you look at the history, you see that both the police and fire were supportive of Mayor Curry's plan. They supported the mayor in Tallahassee. They stood behind the mayor in this referendum here in Jacksonville. So I'm optimistic that those negotiations are going to go well. It'll be good for the members. It'll also be good for Jacksonville.
Yeah. Since you followed it and coming in, the person that you succeed here, there was some controversy surrounding John Keene. Does that hurt your ability to hit the ground and get rolling in a hurry?
You know, I don't think so. You know, John created a large plan. This plan right now has got $1.7 billion in assets. John was there from the beginning, and he built a successful plan. But it's a new day. There's some new things that we have to do. We brought in 3 new board members, so we have a new board of directors. We have a newly created investment advisory committee. The plan's made $100 million just in the last year compared to where the plan was a year ago. So we're optimistic. We're moving in a great direction.
Yeah, one of the things you told me as we talked about, hey, let's have you in, introduce you to the community. Tim said, time to turn the page.
That's right.
And get some of those new things happening. Great to get to meet you. Welcome to town, and thanks for sharing some of your ideas this morning.
I appreciate it.
Well, big events coming to the River City. It sounds like there may be some big opportunity in the sports world also. That's next on This Week in Jacksonville. We've got Rick Catlett from the Jack Sports Council.
There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. Whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury at Lexus of Jacksonville and Lexus of Orange Park, both new members of the Fields family.
And now you can lease a new 2016 Lexus ES350 for only $329 per month for 36 months or get 0.9% APR for 72 months.
See Fields first for Lexus and step up to luxury during this amazing opportunity. This is one you don't want to miss.
Every morning, you need the weather. And you told us you love meteorologist Richard Nunn.
This self-proclaimed all-American nerd.
Wait, that's me?
Sure, he can be pretty crazy, but when severe weather's on the way, he pinpoints it hour by hour.
Richard's not afraid to challenge national forecast models, so you get a truly local forecast.
The Morning Show on Channel 4 makes mornings happen.
Is Richard really that crazy?
Play Monsoon.
The usual.
Yep.
How are you tracking?
Right on time. The 2016 Toyota Corolla. The perfect ride for the perfect drive.
See you tomorrow.
Get 0% APR for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash on a new 2016 Corolla. Toyota. Let's go places.
It's very dangerous.
Our river has a toxic secret. The I-Team exposing a major environmental and health disaster waiting to happen.
50 years later, we've got nothing.
Old promises broken. Kids living next to human waste.
The septic tank has been open. There's kids running around.
Hundreds of millions spent and the problem's not fixed.
Who do you blame?
The I-Team investigates dirty water. Wednesday on the 10 o'clock news. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Thanks for staying with us. It's an official Jack Sports event. Navy and Notre Dame football here in Jacksonville. We're just less than 7 weeks away. And this morning we're joined by Jack Sports Council CEO Rick Catlett. Rick, this is exciting for so many people. I remember when we announced it more than a year ago, this was going to be happening. Where does the excitement stand? Where does ticket sales stand? What are we expecting here?
Wow, just think about Georgia, Florida, and the next week in this game. We're over 50,000. We believe we'll have a sellout. Sellout's about 67 now in the new configuration of the stadium. We couldn't have asked for, we really hadn't done any advertising yet. We've just kind of done it internally to Jacksonville, to our community and the two schools, and we're really excited about the opportunity to host this game. For a lot of other reasons besides sports.
Well, yeah, and there's so many people from Navy, and if you got a military background at all, you're probably interested, and so many Notre Dame and Irish fans. So yeah, this is a great thing. I've heard a lot of people talking about. One of the things I want to talk about is this Navy hero kind of thing going on. What is this? We're showing some video right here of the Brotherhood. We'll talk about this, but this is special. What do you want to see happen here?
Well, we've got 50,000 naval personnel living in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. We wanted to take this game and give something back to the community. And we thought about doing a scholarship here, or a building at Annapolis, or, all of those kinds of things. And so we finally came to the conclusion that the best way to do that would be to honor the men and women that have served in our community, and especially their families. Yeah. So we had a young lady at the press conference the other day. Her husband was killed while in training exercises over in Japan. And so her son, their family, would not otherwise be able to come to this game. And so we said, let's raise $500,000. Let's send 3,000 to 5,000 people to the game from those families. So if you're a Gold Star, if you're sick, ill, or injured, military person, you and your family, immediate family, can come to the game on us.
I want to show you a quick clip shared by the Navy from 2 years ago, and it was that same scenario. A service member had been lost, and then you're going to see his son in the locker room kind of being honored and getting the fellas fired up. Here's some of that.
Hey, this is great. Brotherhood is so damn proud of you guys. I got one little brother to introduce to you real quickly. Scott Zellum was a part of class of 1991, and Scott was killed in an aircraft mishap 10 years ago when Tanner was just 1 year old. And here he has come back as an 11-year-old, part of the Brotherhood. and this is all part of the brotherhood. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sail Navy down the field, hey, sail, sail to the sky. We'll never change our course, so Army, you stay shine. Roll up the score, Navy, hey, anchors away. Sail Navy down the field, and sing your Army, great.
I will on 3, 1, 2, 3. I will.
All right, Rick, you and I are both ready to get out there and play. That had to be an incredible
Cry
moment.
one, I'm not sure which.
That was earlier. So here's some of the info about honoring our heroes for that Navy Notre Dame game November 5th, 3,000 to 5,000 military family VIP treatment for the game. The goal is $500,000, right? $500,000. And then you just go to jacksports.com. You can participate in all that. New topic. We learned this week that the NCAA, Rick, is preparing to move 7 championship events, including basketball tournament games, soccer, lacrosse, golf tournament, all from North Carolina. Is Jacksonville in position to maybe take over as a host for any of those events?
Well, it's interesting because 3 of those events we've already bid on for future years, 19, 20, and 21. So we've got the bid package ready to go. We've checked the venues. We are able to do that. And in fact, the NCAA is now accepting bids on those championships. So yes, we are. We're very interested, obviously, in men's and women's basketball, men's and women's golf, and there's a possibility that we could move fencing up a little bit too.
Well, and so we're seeing just a little more than a year ago, year and a half ago,
right?
The city hosted, it was its second round of the NCAA, yeah, March Madness here in Jacksonville. It's a great thing. And those other events, obviously, it's not just about the sportsmanship, it's that those are economic drivers for our area too, right?
Millions of dollars of value. It's good for the quality of life and all of the things that we talk about, but really it's about jobs and about the people that work in our venues, our restaurants, our hotels, and it causes them to make extra money. So that's really, the economic impact is really directly to the people of Jacksonville.
The reason NCAA is kind of pulling out of North Carolina pertains to challenging the guarantee of the LGBT community protections that aren't there. Is it something where you all have to take a stand on the HRO possibility here in Jacksonville?
No, we really don't, because we're a private company, and our job is to bring the events here. It's the city's job to figure out what the proper laws and the rules and regulations should be. And to be honest with you, since I left the mayor's office a number of years ago, I don't pay a lot of attention to that stuff.
Probably a little easier to just focus on let's get the events here than deal with some of the politics. Rick, appreciate the time. Best success. Looking forward to those events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So heading to our election coverage for the rest of the show, Democratic Delegate Lisa King joins us next on This Week in Jacksonville. Don't go anywhere.
I've never had anything like this before.
IHOP's new Criss Croissants with 27 buttery layers. Try savory spinach and roasted red pepper, strawberries and sweet cream cheese, or salted caramel and banana. IHOP's new Criss Croissants. Right now, kids eat free. Every day, 4 to 10 p.m.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every month, almost 200,000 people visit forthepeople.com. They visit to learn about their legal rights concerning automobile accidents, workers' compensation, medical malpractice. You can spend all the time you want or have a live chat 24/7. You can learn about unsafe drugs and medical devices, class actions, and your consumer rights. Forthepeople.com belongs to you, your consumer website. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Who really has the fastest internet? We're off to the download races in today's Xfinity X1 Challenge.
We're gonna download the same show on these 2 laptops.
Okay, ready? Download.
So far, I'm doing pretty good. Should we put money on this?
Let's see who our winner is. Xfinity! Who do you have for your internet service?
I have AT&T. Yeah.
With Xfinity, you get speeds up to 12 times faster than you get with UVerse.
So what do you think now? Which one do you want?
I'd probably go for Xfinity.
Get started with Xfinity Internet risk-free for $19.99 a month for 12 months. Call or visit xfinity.com/challenge.
Wow, it's a word you'll hear a lot when people see your new bathroom from Bathfitter. You'll also hear, I can't believe it, and I never thought, followed by more, wow, wow, and wow. You see, this ain't no Band-Aid, one-size-fits-all quick fix. With Bathfitter, you get the same high-end material used in spas, and they install everything, including all those gorgeous accessories you see in home decorating magazines. When you see your new bathroom, you'll say, wow, why didn't I do this sooner?
Florida Black Expo returns to the Prime Osborne Convention Center on October 8th. Channel 4 is a proud sponsor. If you're a business owner, find out how you can showcase your products or services at blackexposouth.com.
As Hillary Clinton battled pneumonia this week, Americans are sizing up the health of both presidential candidates. Donald Trump revealing some of his health information this week, but both candidates really are under pressure to do more. With Hillary Clinton sidelined by pneumonia, Donald Trump was trying to prove that he's fit to serve as president.
Why not share your medical records? Why not?
Well, I have really no problem in doing it. I have it right here. I mean, should I do it? I don't care. Should I do it?
With that, Trump shared a one-page summary of his physical with Dr. Oz. The show released a short clip from that interview.
May I see them?
Saying, yeah, sure.
He read through a number of things, and Dr. Oz was, he was impressed.
Most of the time, he didn't really answer the questions directly, so it was probably flattering for him, although I don't think if you're paying attention, he didn't really answer anything.
A statement from the show says Dr. Oz reviewed Trump's family medical history, heart health, and medications. Trump has repeatedly questioned Clinton's fitness to serve, but since her pneumonia diagnosis, Trump declined to question her health directly. Both candidates, though, have released far less health information than past candidates.
The losers are very clearly American voters. We're getting the runaround from both camps at the moment, and until they, get serious and really give us hard evidence, we can't really make judgments about either candidate's health.
Dr. Oz's daytime audience skews predominantly female, giving Trump a platform to win over a demographic he's struggling to connect with. But Trump's overall campaign seems to be gaining strength as polls tighten, and a new Bloomberg poll of Battleground Ohio shows Trump leading by 5 points. Hillary Clinton planned to be healthy enough to get back on the campaign trail Thursday. And joining us in this segment, Lisa King, leader among local Democratic activists, a supporter of Hillary Clinton. And this is kind of a touchy subject, right? I mean, average citizens, even professional athletes, have a right to privacy concerning their health. Do candidates, at least at this level, presume that same right about their health?
Well, there's nothing in the Constitution that requires candidates to be of a certain level of health or provide a certain amount of information. So what we've had here is just a tradition of providing information that's developed over time. And so the American public has gotten to a point where they expect a certain amount of information to make a judgment about whether someone is healthy or not. Probably most notably would be John McCain in 2008, because there were significant questions about his health and his ability to serve. And so he released a full several years worth of medical history. And so that's kind of set, to some extent, a precedent about those kinds of things.
Beyond rights, is there an obligation to share because of maybe that precedence? Or, this current conversation, I guess, really what it comes down to is, do we need to be having this? Should the focus really be on, hey, are you able to serve? Should it just focus on, well, medically, can you communicate? Can you make great decisions? That sort of thing?
Well, I think that the American public, it does deserve a certain amount of information. And I think, Hillary Clinton has provided that information. There has been questions raised about her history of blood clots, and the statement that she released from her doctor gave direct information about those incidences and how she's treating them. And it really showed that this was an incident that someone of this age, it's not that unusual. Somebody have this kind of a condition, and she's healthy, and she's under doctor's care.
It makes you wonder, well, if it had been bronchitis and not pneumonia, would it be this big a deal in this kind of case? So we're still more than 53 days away from the general election. What makes this go away, in this case for Hillary Clinton, or what keeps it an issue all the way up to November?
Well, we can't control what issues Donald Trump is going to continue to raise. The fact is that Hillary Clinton's been in this race for more than a year. Yeah. People get sick. Yeah. They do. She has the stamina.
You're working hard.
She's working hard. She has the stamina of a racehorse. I was with her on a day last December where she was in 5 different places in the state in one day. She was in Jacksonville last, gave a half-an-hour speech without notes, without teleprompter, went and said hello to everybody in the room. And I was exhausted just watching her. But, she's got a tradition of powering through, of working hard. It's just who she is. And she took a couple days off to recover, and she's back on the trail today. So I'm very confident that she is with us for the duration, and she's going to continue to show us that stamina she's known for.
Lisa, final minute of our conversation. Why don't you talk a little bit about this Congressional District 5 race? Senator Al Lawson has won the primary for Democrats. Glo Smith is from Jacksonville. She's the Republican in the race. is it a fair race? Is there a legitimate chance that a Republican wins the seat? Because, as you and I were talking about earlier, it really is skewed towards Democrats.
Well, because of redistricting, we have data that we know what kind of level of partisan performance there is. And Congressional District 5 is a D plus 12
Yeah, explain
seat.
that. Yeah, that was news to me. You explained that.
So
That was
D
awesome.
plus 12 means that that district, those voters, basically vote 12 points more than the rest of the country in presidential races, and they actually take the last 2 presidential races. So, to put it very simply, Barack Obama performed 12 points higher than the national average in that district. And as we've seen, people tend to vote party. Right. And because of that, the chances are that someone could overcome that are very small, especially that degree. We did have a seat flip in that same region in 2014. Gwen Graham won an R+6 seat, but she had 2 other important things going for her. She had name identification because she's Bob Graham's daughter, and she also had was a fundraising machine, so she was able to amplify her message and get her message out. I don't see that Glo Smith, who actually lives in Clay County, has that same kind of advantage, and what frankly is a bigger hill for her to climb because it's a +12, not a +6.
Right. Lisa, I appreciate those comments. We're going to look at what's happening in that other congressional district that Northeast Florida is looking to replace as well, but appreciate your time this morning.
Good to see you, Kent.
Young Republican, a new radio host in Northeast Florida, Alexander Patanakis, next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Now that's a pleasant surprise. Just like finding out that with Direct Auto and Life Insurance, you can get a low rate regardless of your driving history.
Credit challenges? Need a quality used car and easy financing?
Great quality cars, great service, great people.
I had some credit problems, but I was still able to get a car.
Apply at gojdb.com.
Go.
Make tomorrow awesome with Xfinity TV from Comcast. Right now, you can get Xfinity TV for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with Xfinity On Demand included. Call 1-800-566-8080 today. Xfinity On Demand delivers thousands of hit shows, top movies, and more at no additional cost. So you can catch up on the latest episodes of TV's hottest shows anytime, anywhere. Switch to Xfinity TV for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with Xfinity On Demand included. Plus, ask how you can add HBO, Showtime, or Stars and enjoy award-winning TV shows and movies at home and on the go. There's no term contract and no early termination fee. Plus, it's all backed by our 30-day money-back guarantee. So it's risk-free. Tomorrow could be awesome if you call today. Call 1-800-566-8080. That's 1-800-566-8080. Xfinity, the future of awesome.
No. Now that's a pleasant surprise. Just like finding out that with Direct Auto and Life Insurance, you can get a low rate regardless of your driving history.
99 food hacks from the biggest names in cooking.
What's up, Dr. Oz?
Fun, fast, foolproof hacks.
Really good.
A 16-year-old likes this. I mean, how much better can you do than that? All new Oz.
Monday at 4 on Channel 4. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
Final segment here on our show. We're joined by Republican Alexander Patanakis, who is a state committee man for Duval County and the GOP here. Also, new into the mass media world, you're hosting a radio show on WBOB, right?
Yes, weekdays at 2 on AM 600.
And the topic is, I'm going to guess politics.
Yeah, politics, local politics. It's great to get listener interaction and do what you do, I guess, and talk to newsmakers and elected officials and cover all the things going on in this election from a local angle, which I think is needed in Northeast Florida.
It's got to be interesting to hear some of the perspectives of the folks who are listening, calling in, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Let me ask about this. It was a little bit more than a year ago. I remember we talked because you're associated with the Duval County GOP. Mm-hmm. Hey, this new guy is in the race, Donald Trump. How do you think this is going to go? And I can't quote you at the moment, but it was something to the effect of, I don't know if he's my first choice, but so now Republicans, whether they're here or throughout the country, he's the choice. He's the candidate. Mm-hmm. What are you hearing from those folks who are calling you, and how do you feel about supporting Donald Trump when he wasn't necessarily their first choice a year ago.
You've got to keep in mind there were 17 candidates running. Right. I mean, this was a huge
field.
Lots
to choose from.
Lot of options to choose from. It winnowed down, and Donald Trump is the nominee of the Republican Party. And I think what you're seeing here locally, and the polls reflect this, especially over the past few months, Republicans are voting for the Republican nominee. They're planning on voting for Donald Trump. You see that quite a bit here in Northeast Florida. Northeast Florida Republicans are very enthusiastic about voting in November, not just for the top of the ticket with Donald Trump, but also Senator Rubio, Glo Smith, who you mentioned earlier, John Rutherford. We've got a great slate of candidates, and Republicans are very enthusiastic about voting. And there's a big enthusiasm gap with the Republican Party versus what we're seeing with the Democrats. I think Hillary Clinton's going to have a really big problem turning out the base like Barack Obama did in 2008 and 2012.
Well, it's interesting because both of these presidential candidates don't score very high on likability, that sort of thing. Sure. So you did mention John Rutherford. I want to ask about that congressional district race. He's the Republican nominee. Dave Bruderly is the Democratic nominee for what's going to happen in November. Can a Democrat win in that race? It's just like we were talking about a few moments ago in the old Corrine Brown seat. Mm-hmm. Can a Republican win in that? Those candidates say, of course we can, but what does it take for a Republican to hold on to that seat in this case? For John Rutherford?
If you're talking about Congressional District 5, I mean, Andrew Crenshaw's had that seat for some... Congressional District 4, excuse me, for some time. That seat is very strong Republican. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Rutherford carried it by 60, 70 points. Brutally seems like a nice man, but it is very difficult for a Democrat to win in that seat, just based on the demographics. Northeast Florida is a very conservative and Republican area, especially that district. You've got all of Nassau County, a good part of Duval, and then the northern half of St. John's. It's a very Republican area.
Yeah, so you got to stumble pretty badly if you're the Republican there.
And I don't see John Rutherford doing that, so I think he will definitely claim victory in November.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to ask about this. You said you couldn't say much, but this summer your name was in the news a little bit concerning the state attorney's race. Initially you were part of the Angela Corey campaign, and then you weren't. Is that something that's resolved? Can you talk about that? What can you tell me about that situation?
Well, first off, I was a supporter of Angela Corey, but I wish Melissa Nelson well. I think that the voters have spoken. And she won quite a bit. And you saw that across Northeast Florida. You had Matt Shirk
It was a
down.
theme, wasn't it?
Corinne Brown, as you mentioned earlier, lost. You go to Nassau County, the Atkins folks lost, and in Clay County.
I apologize. We're running out of time, but great to have you here with us. And thank you for being with us here this morning as well. This Week in Jacksonville, airing each Sunday morning at this time.
At News 4 Jax, we're always covering the news, even when we're not on TV. Stay informed, on the go, and online at news4jax.com.